Welcome back to Celsius. We are on the eve of the big December 21st Celsius bankruptcy hearing, with two big items on the agenda. First being the settlement with StakeHound, and second, and more importantly, the wind-down motion, which will, somewhat paradoxically, be winding up a new mining company. Most of the focus is rightly on this wind-down motion, and let's dive into it. The debtors in the UCC are positioning the mining company as within the four corners of an orderly wind-down. But as Christopher Villinger points out in his declaration, the plan that we all voted on stipulated that there would be no go-forward mining entity. So things somewhat changed somewhere along the way. We're victims of escalating commitments. With over $600 million plowed into this mining operation, the UCC decided it was better to try to rescue value from those assets rather than exit quickly and eat the loss. And now behind the scenes, U.S. Bitcoin helped negotiate the purchase of the Cedarvale site in Texas from Core Scientific. You may recall that Core Scientific was hosting and managing the majority of Celsius's mining business, and they wanted to pass along the rising cost of electricity to their customers. But Celsius was standing on its contract, which it believed entitled it to only pay a low fixed amount. This eventually led to Core Scientific to itself declare bankruptcy to void the contracts with Celsius. Generally, it's not a great business practice to force your business partner out of business. But when U.S. Bitcoin helped Celsius to acquire the Cedarvale site from Core Scientific, this was another commitment escalator. Now U.S. Bitcoin has been retained to build out that site and is tied at the hip with the UCC. We've now waded ever deeper into this mining boondoggle, and it requires something approaching $100 million more of creditor funds to build out. At the big hearing tomorrow, we're going to find out whether we're able to go forward with this mining company transaction, or if it sufficiently deviates from the plan which we all voted on, which may potentially tie us up for longer to figure out what's next. Last week, when BRIC was looking to depose the UCC members and force their own wind-down bid to actually be accepted, I was feeling like maybe it was a 75% chance that this mining company transaction would be denied. But now that BRIC has been incorporated into the mining company transaction in a very messy deal that adds fees for all of us, my sense is that the odds have now flipped, and there's maybe a 60% chance that the transaction will be approved in court as is. You have the debtors in the UCC lining up to support the wind-down motion, as you'd expect, along with the EARN ad hoc, Simon Dixon, and Ignat Tuganov. This is supported by Ken Erler's declaration as well as Robert Campagna. Against the wind-down motion, you have the U.S. trustee, the loans ad hoc, Ann Yielding, and the woman that likes to post Twitter screenshots to the docket. We also have the Chris Villinger declaration, the Maroney declaration, and the Phillips Notice of Appeal, which could torpedo the wind-down if it's not actually executed as a wind-down. Simon laid out a two-scenario framework. If the judge approves the plan, he's saying we would get our crypto by February and then have stock issued by April, which I think is a bit optimistic. It's possible we receive our crypto by February, but stock could easily be hung up. It is accurate to say the higher the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum, the easier it is to pay fees by selling these assets. Now, under option 2, I do disagree with some of the assertions here. First, saying that we have to vote on a new plan. We could simply toggle to a wind down. There's really no reason to resolicit. It's fair to say that $100 million could easily go to the professionals if we had to wait over a 6-month period. We obviously don't want that to happen. It is fair to say this reopens the possibility that Bitcoin and Ethereum go high enough to make us dollar whole, but even then, I don't believe the government has an unassailable position to claim this upside that really belongs to creditors. And there's no way that Mashinsky will get any of this upside as an equity investor. A different way of breaking this down is here with this decision tree. I've assigned a 60% chance that the plan is approved tomorrow and a 40% chance that it is denied. In the event it's denied, I'm saying there's only a 25% chance that we would go to resolicitation, because let's face it, this would be an absolutely insane thing to do. We have the option of an orderly wind down, and we should do an actual orderly wind down. And you can calculate this would be a 30% chance of happening. Simply multiply 40% by 75%. Even if it goes to resolicitation, we're not guaranteed of having a negative outcome. Let's assign a 75% likelihood that Bitcoin will moon and make us dollar whole before the new plan. That would not be ideal. But I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that we would have the government step in to claim our upside. I think this is still more of a 50-50. Keep in mind that this would require a new plan, and there's no reason we can't have a plan that actually gives the upside to us, the creditors, who, let's face it, deserve that upside. So let's say there's a 50% chance that we're mailed a check for 105% of our claim if you opted into the class settlement. This would yield only a 3.75% likelihood given all the preceding outcomes. It would break down into this map here, where there's a 60% chance that mining will be confirmed tomorrow, 30% chance that we'll toggle to a real early wind down if forced, and then a 10% chance of resolicitation, yielding only a 3.75% chance the government comes in to scoop our upside, and then a 6.25% chance that creditors preserve that upside. While we've talked at length about the wind down, Thursday we will also hear more about the StakeHound settlement. You may recall that StakeHound was involved in the loss of 35,000 of Celsius's Ether in 2021 when the keys were lost when working with Fireblocks. The details of the settlement with StakeHound are under seal, but I did do some digging on chain yesterday and discovered that StakeHound had unbonded Celsius's staked Polkadot on Friday, which may indicate they're preparing to send some subset of the roughly $88 million worth of crypto that they hold of Celsius's back to the estate. And there's a thread in the description on this topic if you'd like to read more about what I found. As part of the settlement, it appears that StakeHound will keep $10 million to in part fund their ongoing litigation against Fireblocks in Israel, which would most likely accrue to the benefit of us, Celsius creditors. Although Fireblocks disagrees, and they're asserting standing as a creditor themselves, citing their license agreement with Celsius, notwithstanding the fact that they didn't have a Celsius account. Fireblocks is claiming that this $10 million is funding a new line of litigation business that was not approved by creditors. But assuming it's coming out of the $88 million flowing back to Celsius, it does seem reasonable to collect on the 35,000 Ether that Fireblocks helped Celsius lose. Further complicating matters, Fireblocks still controls $1.3 billion worth of Celsius's crypto as of the July 28th coin report. And it's not a good sign if you're in litigation with somebody who holds more than half of the crypto that's eligible to be distributed to Celsius customers. Certainly worth keeping an eye on. If you'd be interested in me doing a more detailed video on StakeHound and Fireblocks, let me know in the comments. I'll see what I can do. That's about all there is to say for this video. I will catch you guys after the big Thursday hearing. See you again soon.